From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5:30, streaming now.
Now, 5:30, scammers stealing your personal info to claim benefits they don't have coming. What you need to watch out for. And a dream come true for a young IndyCar fan. The surprise of a lifetime, as you could say, the track came to him. Lindsay.
Topping our lineup, more people are cooking and delivering food to play it safe this Thanksgiving. We go to the experts about what to keep in mind when transporting your meals. School shootings are down during this pandemic, but schools are still preparing with active shooter drills. How those have changed with COVID. And a new program is working to create more career opportunities for Black and Latinx students. How the people behind it hope the benefits will extend beyond them getting a better job following college.
Now, first at 5:30, Metro Police have their hands full after a very violent and deadly weekend in the Circle City. Since Friday afternoon, 5 people killed due to gunfire. For the year, the city is at 220 homicides. One of the weekend's deadly shootings took place inside the downtown JW Marriott Hotel. Police have arrested a 17-year-old boy for the early Saturday morning crime. Police say 16-year-old Carla Vasquez was killed in the incident. Her family says she was there for a friend's 21st birthday party. Police are still investigating what led to the shooting. Another one of the 5 homicides took place early yesterday morning, and Metro Police have released video they want you to see as they search for those responsible. The shooting happened around 6 a.m. Sunday at a hotel in the 6800 block of East 21st Street. Police are looking for 2 people of interest, a white man driving a white 4-door pickup truck and his black male passenger. The victim, whose name has not been released, was found critically wounded in a second-floor room at the hotel, and he later died at the hospital. If you have any information on the 2 men seen in the video, call Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS. The Indiana Attorney General's office says they are seeing an exponential increase in scammers stealing Hoosiers' identities to claim unemployment benefits. The scammers are stealing personal info like dates of birth, social security numbers, and home addresses, and are routing benefit payments to the scammers' accounts. From October 18th to November 18th, the office received 157 such complaints, compared to just a handful back in the spring. If you learn that your identity has been fraudulently used in a claim for unemployment benefits, you should report it to the Office of the Attorney General at indianaconsumer.com. You should also report it to the Indiana Department of Workforce Development. Kevin.
City lights starting to take over on this cloudy evening. Now, there are a lot of clouds, but not much in the way of rain. Let me show you what it looks like from a radar perspective, and we overlay with that. Then the cloud cover, that steely gray, represents the clouds that have moved in since our sunshine this morning. As I mentioned, overnight is when we'll see some rain develop. It may mix with some snow, maybe a little sleet, but again, with temperatures above freezing, shouldn't have an impact on the road. Psychologically, I get it. It has a little impact, doesn't it? Because kind of eased into this month of November with some very warm temperatures, certainly in the 70s numerous days. 40 degrees, that's the temperature right now up in Tipton County, 41 in Crawfordsville. Just picking out some cool spots. You can see those as well. Eastern Indiana in Wayne County. Richmond at 38 degrees. Nothing real cold in the 7-day forecast, which you'll see a little later. There's the situation at 4 a.m. Rain has returned, mixing with, there's the pink, a little snow, maybe some sleet, but notice how it slides north of Indy through the morning, all the way north of a Lafayette to Muncie line by mid-morning, and then pushing into northern Indiana for a dry Tuesday afternoon.
Another COVID-19 vaccine breakthrough. Late-stage trials of the Oxford University and AstraZeneca vaccine show it's on average 70% effective, but can be up to 90%. They tested different doses, so that's why there's a difference in the results. Pfizer and Moderna's vaccines came in just slightly more effective, but both of those have to be stored at ultra-cold temperatures. AstraZeneca's does not, and it's also cheaper. As for Americans getting a vaccine soon, Pfizer has submitted for FDA approval. That could come by December 11th, according to Operation Warp Speed officials. Within a day, the vaccine would be available in the states. The plan is to start with frontline healthcare workers and high-risk individuals. As our country works to rebound, we're helping you manage the pressure as the pandemic is shifting caregiving responsibilities. More millennials are taking on this responsibility now. They're becoming a greater percentage of what's known as the sandwich generation. Those are people who are caring for both their own kids and their aging parents. New numbers from insurance company New York Life show 1/3 of millennials are doing this now.
We're not replacing, the typical 49-year-old woman who's the family caregiver. She's still doing it. But the need is so great that more and more young people are called into the role as well. And that's going to continue well after the COVID pandemic.
Nearly half of the so-called sandwich generation expect to be a caregiver in some capacity for 6 or more years. The added financial strain is one concern. John Shaw with the Caregiver Action Network says out-of-pocket expenses can be about $1,000 a month. More than half of these caregivers say they're spending more than usual per month to care for others as a result of the pandemic, and that means they're contributing less to their savings and their retirement. There's also the concern about the mental toll.
With millennial generation caregivers, you may not be thinking about depression, at that age. But the fact is, the sheer stress of the role of being a family caregiver increases that risk of depression twice as often.
All right, so grab your phone to take a picture of the number on your screen. If you're feeling overwhelmed, the Caregiver Help Desk from the Caregiver Action Network can be one place to turn. It is free to call. Next in our lineup, more people are cooking and delivering food to play it safe this Thanksgiving. But we're going to the experts about what to keep in mind if you're going to be transporting your meal. With many families planning a scaled-back Thanksgiving, that means more first-time cooks and more plans to drop off food to others who won't be coming in person.
We can help walk you through some of those different scenarios about preparing a meal in advance, cooling it down, and then serving it later or sending it off to a family member that maybe can't celebrate with you.
The 1-800-Butterball hotline is open and ready. They recommend for anyone sharing their turkey with others to go ahead and cook it completely a day or two ahead of when you plan to drop it off.
And then once it cools, you want to carve it off the turkey bones and you want to store it safely in the refrigerator. Then you can slice it and package it in little containers with a little bit of gravy or stuffing or some potatoes.
Butterball's turkey talk line supervisor says the turkey is done once you hit 170 degrees in the breast area, 180 degrees in the thigh, and 165 in the stuffing. As for transporting it,
if you're going to be transporting it hot, make sure it stays hot for the time that you're going to be making it to the family member that you're delivering it to. So within the 2 to 3 hours, you want to keep it hot. If it's going to be longer than that, you want to make sure that you've refrigerated it. And when you transport it, go ahead and keep it in a cooler, and then they can heat it up when you deliver it.
Leftovers are good for about 3 to 4 days or longer if you freeze them. Despite pleas from the CDC and health officials, millions of people are flying for the Thanksgiving holiday. Traffic has picked up at airports. Since Friday, about 1 million people have gone through TSA screenings each day. It's still lower than last year, but the highest we've seen since the pandemic started. More in our lineup. School shootings are down during this pandemic, but schools are still preparing with active shooter drills. How those have changed with COVID. To many, they are a parent's worst fear. But this year, the number of school shootings in the United States has dropped tremendously because of the pandemic. As Dan Grossman explains, schools are still having active shooter drills, just in a different way than many students are used to.
A student that feels safe is a better educated student.
In many ways, John McDonald is responsible for the blueprint of school safety that exists in our country today.
Kids that feel safe in school have higher test scores, better graduation rates.
After the Columbine school shooting, he was brought on to form the safety plan for Jeffco Public Schools in Colorado.
For us, it goes back to April 20th, 1999.
A district that has endured 3 school shootings in the last 21 years and is now helping reform how school shooting drills are performed in the age of COVID.
We had to redesign the entire drill. We had to redesign what it looked like. How do you get socially distanced when you're locking down?
95% of K-12 schools implement active shooter drills today. In most states, they are still required by law, despite the challenges of remote learning and social distancing.
Our schools are required to conduct 4 lockdown drills and 8 evacuation or fire drills every year.
Jacqueline Schildkraut is a criminal justice professor in New York State. She has helped school districts there adjust by breaking up the drills into smaller groups of students who independently practice the lockdowns on different days, still moving to different parts of the classroom as they simulate what to do in an emergency.
The reason that drills are so important is they're building muscle memory.
In Colorado, however,
today we're going to learn what to do when a lockdown happens.
the learning is now digitized so students can remain distant instead of huddling into corners like they may have done before COVID. But in a real emergency, COVID precautions go out the window.
If we have to go on a lockdown while we're in school, even in a COVID world, we're going to go into lockdown because that's the threat that's in front of us moment in time.
John says it's about threat assessment. Schools across the country will change how they instill that muscle memory since COVID is the more prominent threat. But if a lockdown is needed, measures will be taken to keep kids safe from that more imminent danger.
I think that there's always a need to balance the school, the safety of the potentially very worst day with the challenges of safety and student well-being that schools face every single day.
According to the National School Safety Center, this past March was the first in 18 years where a school shooting didn't take place. And while numbers have stayed lower than normal, that trend didn't continue, reminding us all why keeping safety front of mind is important going forward. I'm Dan Grossman reporting.
A Greenwood 15-year-old IndyCar fan got quite the surprise today right outside of his home. Jasper has been battling leukemia for the past 3.5 years and was granted a wish from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. In the past couple of years, he has been in the hospital for 110 days, and he did get to ring the bell in June of 2019 cancer-free. The teen wished for an iRacing simulator, and to hand-deliver it to him this afternoon was Jasper's favorite driver, James Hinchcliffe.
I imagine Jasper will beat me handily in iRacing, but it'd still be fun to get to race him.
I don't know that words can explain it. It's nothing we would have ever been able to do for him, so he has definitely earned it, and we are just grateful that Make-A-Wish and all these organizations could put this together for him. This is just absolutely fantastic.
And another surprise for Jasper today was a parade past his Greenwood house with the Borg-Warner Trophy, Andretti Autosport, the Indy Racing Experience Street Legal Car, and a 500 Festival Princess. And another way to put a smile on a child's face is to help out the 20th annual WRTV Toy Drive, and it's now underway. We are collecting new unwrapped toys at U-Store locations across central Indiana between now and December 11th. You will also be able to donate your toys to WRTV personalities in person at several area Simon Malls on December 5th. There's also more info on how you can make a financial donation at WRTV.com/Toy Drive. Kevin.
And as always, we thank you for your support over 2 decades for the Toy Drive. Well, temperatures, they're stuck. They're not moving quickly now with the cloud cover in place. The real change will take place overnight, not so much to the temperature, but with rain moving in may mix with a little snow and sleet. 43 in Muncie, Kokomo, just as cool, the warm spot, if you want to call it that. 46, that's in Shelbyville. So let's move the ball forward. We wake up tomorrow morning, some rain showers around. By the time we get to mid-morning, there you are with some snow, rain, maybe a little sleet mixing in, but notice how it's quickly moving northeast. And by late morning, early afternoon, that is out of the way, and it should be all rain at that point, and temperatures do not drop below freezing. That means wet streets. Temperature, by the time we get to noon tomorrow, 44. We're drier in the afternoon. We'll use that time to dry out before another soaking widespread rain arrives, and that will be back on Wednesday. Wednesday during the day, we'll pick up an inch or more of rain, but we dry out tomorrow after our wintry mix in the morning, only warming to 49. May hear rumble of thunder in the state across even central Indiana. The area in green is where there's a low risk for some strong winds with thunderstorms. We'll see the wind out of the south during the day on Wednesday. That'll push our high temperature into the upper 50s. What about Thanksgiving? We'll talk about that. Dry turkey? We'll see.
Despite what's happened with jobs and the economy this year, retailers are expected to finish strong. The National Retail Federation says it expects holiday sales to rise between 3% and 5% from last year. There is still a possibility that sales could be hurt due to a spike in COVID infections since Election Day. Black Friday is changing this year, and it may actually be less hectic than usual. Because social distancing is so important, stores are doing what they can to mitigate crowds, and that includes doing away with hourly deals.
You used to have to line up to get that 6 a.m. deal or that 5 a.m. deal. And retailers are making it a lot easier to get deals over the course of Black Friday or over the course of the entire weekend to discourage you from waiting in those lines on Black Friday and bunching up in crowds like they're trying to avoid.
Lines will be social distanced in stores. We'll be monitoring how many people are in the store at once. Sale prices will also be extended to online orders that you can pick up in store or curbside. There will also be greater Cyber Monday deals, but make sure you get those orders in as soon as possible.
If you're planning on shopping online during Black Friday weekend, now is the time to do it because it gives you a little bit of extra time to make sure those packages are going to get to you before you want to put them under the tree.
A lot of retailers will not be open on Thanksgiving Day, so keep that in mind while you plan ahead. Deals are expected to last all through December. As our mental health continues to be impacted by the pandemic, some veterans are turning to honeybees to cope with PTSD. Alexa Liacco shows us how beekeeping soothes some symptoms.
The endless hum of the hive calls to Chuck Pressler. Each day he visits the thousands of bees living in his backyard. It's an appointment he hasn't missed in years.
It slows you down.
The Navy veteran served 4 years during the Cold War.
I was in submarine. I spent a lot of time underwater.
And now he works as an EMT, 2 careers in service, both with a personal price to pay.
It is a sacrifice, whether it's coming back from war or whether it's dealing with things at home, police, paramedics, firemen, EMTs, dispatchers. There's a lot of things that weigh on people after dealing with this for so long.
But Pressler found a unique way to take his mind away from the stress. By going to a place where dessert is served first.
This is one of their honey frames.
And where Pressler's time is his own.
If you find yourself talking to them a little bit, you forget about everything around you while you're doing it. And you're just paying attention to the bees.
He knew the calm he found had to be shared.
I discovered that it could be a tool.
He started the nonprofit Honeybees for Heroes to give other veterans and first responders a chance to ease the traumas they live with every day.
It's a brotherhood, sisterhood. It's all a big family in the end, and everybody sticks together. And I think being around each other and talking, even in general, is working towards getting past it.
For so many veterans, talking about mental health and PTSD can be a really tough thing to do. That's why coming out to the hives and focusing on the honeybees is so healing.
Generally, we don't talk about it unless they bring it up. I try not to revisit any ghosts or bring up any memories. The object is just to let them find their pace.
Pressler now works with a handful of veterans in his own neighborhood, one-on-one, even setting them up with their own hives.
This is private. I keep everybody anonymous.
He says so many veterans feel misunderstood and alone, and he wants to be there to help.
Let's be honest, there's a stigma behind it, and people start to look at you like, you're crazy. It's important for the community to know that it's okay to deal with these issues, and that the people that do these jobs are human, and that it requires a human to make these sacrifices to do it.
Pressler says the call to serve is worth every sacrifice, and it's a mission that doesn't end when you leave the military.
All of us, first responders, veterans, that's what we do for a living. We help and protect people.
He hopes more will soon realize fulfilling that promise can come from the most unexpected places.
When you have a beehive with 60,000 honeybees in it, you're their guardian. So it's up to us to protect them and serve them.
A small but mighty service with a reward sweeter than, well, I'm Alexa Liacco.
Finally in our lineup, a new program is working to create more career opportunities for Black and Latinx students. Other people behind it hope the benefits will extend beyond them getting a job following college. There's a new program aimed at helping Black and Latinx students succeed. The Equity in Education Initiative was built through a partnership between Walmart and North Carolina A&T State University. The program acknowledges many of these students start at a disadvantage because they go through underfunded school districts.
These students are coming in oftentimes with academic gaps that are due to no fault of their own. It's not a difference in ability, it's just a difference in their zip code.
The program is broken up into 4 focus areas addressing specific needs of different students. They include financial resources and mentorship while in school, then network building to create career opportunities their white counterparts may already have.
So many people actually obtain their jobs through a network because they know someone who knows someone. And many of these students, most of them come in without those built-in networks, and their families don't have those networks.
The hope is that the positive effects of the program will extend outside of school, allowing successful students to invest and give back.
It's not just about the impact on the student. It's about multi-generational impact on families and about extending those impacts into communities that oftentimes have been under-resourced.
Some parts of the program, like the Black Male Initiative, will make resources automatically available to students. There will be an application process for the leadership cohort and scholarships. The program starts early next year. The 2020 election produced a lot of headlines, including one about marijuana legalization in states where many didn't expect it. Tomorrow, why experts say voters in typically conservative states like South Dakota and Montana approved recreational pot ballot measures.
Well, we said we'd talk about Thanksgiving just a little bit ago. Dry on Thanksgiving, but a lot happens leading up to that. We'll talk about travel weather throughout the Midwest. If you're doing some traveling to family, we'll cover that here shortly. Nothing real Arctic in the 7-day forecast either. That's all for the news at 5:30. The news starts